and the approval of the minutes from the previous month. I'll entertain a motion for that. Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes. We got them fighting over a second to my right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried. All right. We have a special use permit request here to allow the industrial use non-listed a Bitcoin mining facility in an M1 zone located at 3600 block of East 6th Street, submitted by Barrett & Associates on behalf of Arkansas Valley Alliance for Economic Development. Sarah, you got a staff report on that for us?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So this is Peacock Investments, Bitcoin mining, special use permit. They are located out, or proposed to be located out along East 6th. As you can see, it is undeveloped vacant parcel, approximately 10 acres in size. It is located adjacent to the Entergy substation along East 6th. It is directly south of a residential subdivision. The property is zoned M1 along with the surrounding properties, with the exception of the subdivision to the north, which is zoned R2. During the application review, this is being classified as industrial uses not listed because in other communities, this is an industrial use and there was nothing else on the table of permitted uses that this could be classified as. And so industrial uses not listed are permitted by special use in the M1 zone. The property is currently defined by meets and bounds, and so an incidental subdivision will be required to define that as a lot, as a legal lot for the city of Russellville. Commercial building design requirements have requirements for the facade of the building. If you've looked at the application, you'll know that this is not a typical building. This is actually 13 10 by 40 metal structures, but the development is proposing to locate a fence behind an earthen berm with landscaping approximately 150 feet south of the right-of-way and adjacent to the Entergy substation. The landscaping and earthen berm will offset the use, shielding the adjacent residential neighborhood. Coupled with the adjacent substation, it would be considered to be in visual harmony in this vicinity. And parking for industrial uses is at the discretion of the applicant to provide information to us and at the discretion of the Planning Commission to approve. Proposed parking for this is 3 parking spaces. They are proposing to have 1 employee that will be checking on this location. So it's not a huge employee-driven use. They are proposing 3 parking spaces. One of those will be ADA compliable, ADA accessible. So it is staff's recommendation to forward to City Council for approval with the following conditions. Because it is 10 acres, they will need to submit for and obtain a large-scale development approval. They just did not have enough time to meet the deadline, or you would also be hearing that this month. They are aware of that. And they will submit for and obtain an approval of an incidental subdivision. As a result of the findings that the applicant demonstrates compliance with the regulations within Article 2.10 of the Russellville Zoning Code, the proposed use is in line with other adjacent uses in the district. And due to the limited traffic proposed, current traffic routes are constructed in such a way to handle the traffic from the businesses. That is my staff report. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
What is Bitcoin mining?
It's cryptocurrency, and it's mining kind of through an internet process. I don't really completely understand it myself. But it's not a physical mining like a strip mine or anything. It's through the internet, through computers. It's a lot of computers in these buildings.
So what goes on at this facility?
A lot of computer.
It's like an ATM machine from what I gathered. I mean,
But it's not an ATM. No one goes there. An employee will go there to make sure that computers are running accurately.
It's kind of like a server
correctly,
station, like a server, that, like
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
This is gonna be a little, I mean, there's 3 of them, I think, in Conway, and they're at a Valero and a Super Stop. I mean, they've got them, you know, I guess there's different ways you can do it, I guess, but
I've
but the
never
way they're
seen
wanting
one.
to set it up is they're gonna have multiple units, in one area.
I know, I
but-
saw the picture, but I
It's
don't
gonna-
know what that is.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I
different.
have no clue what they're talking about.
Mr. Larry, I had no clue about what they were talking about when this application came in either, and I'm still trying to wrap my brain around
Is
it.
there gonna be money, or is there gonna be anything like that? I mean, is this, I mean, do the. I
They're
mean,
just, those 10 by 40 structures, 10 by 30 structures, those 13 metal buildings are full of computers.
Oh, it's, okay.
Yeah.
And those computers are running programs to mine Bitcoin, which is that cryptocurrency. And so no one, except for an employee, are you here to speak on this application? Yes. Can you explain that a little bit
Yeah.
better than I can?
If you would, step up to the microphone and identify yourself for the record, please.
Sorry, I'm not, this is my first time coming to any type of meeting like this. My name's Stephen Bailey, and I can answer some of these questions because I own a small mining company here in Russellville out of my home. So basically, this is just going to be a data center. And these are containers full of computers, and it's just to run the network. And the specific network will be to run the Bitcoin network. So it just operates transactions, and she had it, she had it right. But yes, that's what it is. And the low employee count will be because the computers and the network, the data center will just be running there. And it'll just need periodic checking on and a remote checking on.
Was this a large company that owns this, or?
I don't know, I'm not affiliated with the company or anything, but I love cryptocurrencies. And the truth is a lot of them shouldn't be called currencies. Now, Bitcoin is specifically a cryptocurrency, but what it really is it's a ledger system. It's a verification and ledger system, and that's what Bitcoin is. So it's a way to digitally verify and track and send, and like sending an email literally, financial documents or whatever.
So it's kind of like a Xerox copy or a Windex glass clean. It's like Bitcoin is what the crypto is what people refer to cryptocurrency as. Kind of is that?
Bitcoin is like kind of the big dog, is what
Right.
started it all. So a lot of people associate the whole space with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency,
Right.
but most of it isn't so much a currency. It's a software technology. Just as like, we all use Apple and Windows software, it won't be long before we're just using blockchain software through all of our ledgers for all kinds of things. And Bitcoin is just it's a ledger system for a peer-to-peer currency of value.
So these buildings are just they're gonna have, it's not gonna be like people rolling through there. It's just gonna house just the
Yes, sir.
the hub. I mean,
Yes, sir. They're
okay.
just going to house, and they're just going to house the data centers. Yes.
We appreciate your
Yes, sir.
indulging us on this. This
Well, I got
is
one-
new.
I got one more question. Now, these systems, they're gonna have a halon protection system and all that in case there's fires and all that sort of stuff. Has the fire department looked at this? And
I'm absolutely sure with the amount of investment that they're going to be putting into this that it's going to be completely up to code. The containers itself and what's inside the containers, there's almost going to be no flammable items in there.
Okay.
Yes. So,
I didn't see anybody in the fire department here, so.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. All right, commissioners, you probably have questions, but does anybody have any questions for Sarah or for,
If I knew what to ask,
this is a public meeting, so if anybody has any comment or any questions at all, just feel free to step up to the microphone and identify yourself.
Hello, I'm Tim DeBay. I live across the street from this proposed development, just on the north side of 6th Avenue. And I have absolutely no concerns about the Bitcoin operation moving in here. I think that's probably going to be good for the community. But I do have some concerns about how well this facility is going to be shielded essentially visually from the housing across the street. And looking at the drawing, the earthen berm with holly bushes, I don't really see any dimensions on that, but it looks to me like it's probably about 250 feet long and 15 feet wide, but there's nothing talking about how high it is. And I would like for the commission to have some stipulation that the berm be high enough so that those of us living across the street cannot actually see the trailers. So if the berm is, maybe 8 feet high and the bushes are another 4 feet or something like that, I don't know what the exact number should be, but something like that to provide visual blockage and a requirement that they maintain that, so doesn't do any good to plant the bushes and then have them all dead the next year. So anyway, that's my only concern. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sarah, that is a good question. Have you got a comment for that? Or answer for
I
that?
would like to just respond to your question, sir. They have to go through a large-scale development next month on this, is their plan, or within the next couple months. And then they will provide elevations with that review of what the earthen berm will be, and we'll go into a greater detailed review of that. And we've taken comment of what your comments were and tried to address that with that application. Yes, sir.
I don't see a fence around this. Is there gonna be a fence around it?
On the inside of the earthen berm, there is a chain link fence proposed with slats.
With slats?
Yes, sir.
Sarah, just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
So I had to learn a lot about Bitcoin mining and so on and so forth to understand this as well. But one thing that kept coming up when I was looking about Bitcoin mining is the noise.
And we have already asked them about the noise, and that's probably why they're proposing the earthen berm and the shrubbery in addition to moving it 150 feet back from the property, because that was already one of our comments to the applicant when they started this process, because we want to make sure that that residential neighborhood is not inundated with additional noise. Because when you go out there currently, even though there is an Entergy substation right there, it's really quiet, and we want to make sure that that level is maintained. And so I believe that's why they are probably proposing the earthen berm and the shrubbery to offset that.
Because I was reading somewhere in there that like one of these is as loud or louder than a jet engine, and there's going to be 13 of them.
Really?
When we
Now, I
talked to
could be,
them-
I mean,
This guy's
I
got
could,
an answer.
from what I read, could be incorrect, but I mean, that is what I read, is that's what municipalities that have had Bitcoin mining operations,
Talking about 93 decibels.
that have had
Sarah, do you know-
Bitcoin
do
mining
you know anything about
machine
that? Can you answer that
operations put up, is that the noise is the biggest problem that people are having.
And that was definitely my concern, mostly after comments from the Valley Christian School application. The neighbors had complained about the air conditioning units, and so that was definitely one of my questions to them. I do believe Hunter can speak a little bit on the application. However, they will be going through a large-scale development application, so we'll have greater review of this application at that time if this is approved. But that was definitely one of my concerns. They did not indicate that it was loud. In fact, they did indicate that it was relatively quiet. However, we can ask them more specifically on details if we approve this and go through the large-scale development
We
review.
need a decibel number.
Yeah, well, the ones that I've seen that are located at gas stations, I mean, if they were, I'm not saying they're not, but if they were, that would be an issue in a public place, I would think.
Well, and this is adjacent to a residential subdivision, so we could definitely say that some of the questions that came up at the commission hearing were about the decibel level, and we can address that with the large scale, or we can table this and ask for additional information. However, I do know that they are under contract to purchase this property through the through the Alliance.
And those are questions that could be answered or vetted through the large-scale process.
Yes, they can
so-
absolutely be vetted and addressed during the large-scale development review.
All right.
Sarah.
Is there any other,
Yes, ma'am.
This young man right
Okay,
here was gonna say
it says 13 units is gonna be on this lot. Is this the max amount that will be there?
That's a great question. That is the maximum that they have proposed to us right now, and that's what I believe they would be applying for with the large-scale development. If it changes from 13, they would have to go back through another large-scale development approval to expand the operation, because a large-scale development has to maintain what was approved by the commission, and if they expand that use, then you have to go back through the commission to expand that large-scale development approval. And so this is the special use permit. They will be going through a large-scale development approval. If they expand beyond the 13, they would have to come back before the commission to expand.
Thank you.
Yes,
Do-
ma'am.
Do we know the exact, there are a million different Bitcoin mining machines in operation. Do we know what the brand of this one is? So we could actually look up and get like specs and so on and so forth. I tried to Google the Bit5 IUE that's on the top of the picture that's there, and nothing's coming up in my research. So if we could get the exact type that they're planning on putting out there, we could get then specs on how loud it is.
Well, and we can definitely ask for that as part of the large-scale development and just give them a heads up that we would like to know that.
yeah, let me.
Container and-
I'm gonna just say it a little louder, I guess, what you've said several times here. I mean, the large-scale development process is gonna vet a lot of those questions as far as, this is the permitting phase, so.
This is just saying, this
isn't
is
the
going to
final
give them,
thing.
yes, sir, this is
Right.
going to give them permission to move forward in their application, which then gives them the ability to apply for and obtain that large-scale development. Because this is only permitted by special use, yes, we absolutely have to take into consideration a lot of these, but because it still has to go through that large scale, and we can vet a lot of these questions, and any questions that you have or think of, we can absolutely let the applicant know that they need to address those items as part of the large-scale development.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
This
there-
young man wanted to say something.
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
All right, my name is Hunter Mays. I am with Barrett Associates. I'm helping Dave Garza with this right here. He's unable to be here. And so to take into account the question about the berm, right now we're proposing it to be 4 feet tall with holly bushes on top of it. So that's going to eliminate most of the sound. And then any of the questions y'all have, I will take it back to Dave and we'll get with the owner and we will take those questions into consideration and let y'all know once we get to the large scale development how we plan to handle each of the questions.
Thank you, Hunter. All right, commissioners, do you have any questions for anybody? Is there anybody else that has any comments or any questions at all? Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Yes, there are 2 structures, but they're not in use. Those have been vacated. Yes, sir. I believe they were put into use. It looks like they were put into use, but those have been vacated. They're not in operation at this time.
All right, do we have any other questions or anybody else have any comment or anything in regards to this permit application? Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Commissioner Duffield's made a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Well, I'll second it.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Monfils seconds that. And all those in favor of the special use permit application, acknowledge by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried. All right, thank you. Next item. We have a large-scale development located at 1303 SR 124 submitted by B&L Mini Storage. Sarah, you got a staff report for us on that?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So this is a large-scale development for Harmon Mini Storage. As you can see from this, well, not this picture, actually. From this picture behind the existing conditions, 5 of those buildings are there. In the existing conditions, it is Zone C2, which is highway commercial. It's part of the Weir Road Development District. This self-storage is permitted by special use. That special use permit was issued in 2011. 5 buildings, as you can see, were built as a result of a large-scale development approval that was issued in 2011. A variety of uses, including both existing businesses and single-family homes, exist in this area. As a result of our review, we did discover that the property was originally platted as a residential subdivision in December of 1950. The existing 5 mini storage unit structures were built after the approval was given in 2011, and that residential plat was not identified at that time. Commercial building design is being proposed and should be met in a coordination with the existing storage building structures already on site. They're going to have a brick facade on the ends facing the right-of-way. There are no sidewalks required since this improvement does not meet the 50% threshold that is listed in Article 3.21. And similar to other mini storages, no actual parking spaces are proposed, but there's sufficient hard surface to accommodate any parking at this facility. And this is a picture showing what the mini storage looks like at this point. And they are actually under construction. Of the 6th unit, the building official gave them a conditional building permit to move forward, with the expectation that since the 5 buildings had already been issued a large-scale development, this last 6th final structure would most likely be approved by the commission. It is staff's recommendation to approve the large-scale development with the condition that they complete an incidental subdivision replatting this to one property. As a result of the findings that the applicant demonstrates compliance with Article 2.10 of the Russellville Zoning Code and demonstrates compliance with the regulations within Section 7 of the Land Subdivision and Development Code. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you, Sarah.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody from B&L Mini Storage here that wants to say anything? If you would, step up to the microphone and state your name for the record, please. Thank you.
I really don't have anything to say. I'm just wanting to get my billing done.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be bossy.
Okay, I've got the plat for the 6 buildings from Kurt Jones. When he done all this for me, laid it out, and I've got my permit to go ahead with the building. Let's see. Anyway, I had it about a month ago. I got the permit to finish the last building of the phase. And I've got it all finished except we're waiting for the doors. And it looks just like the other buildings.
Okay.
So,
We appreciate you.
okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything to add to this? Okay. No questions? All right, Commissioners, what is your pleasure on this?
Motion to approve.
A
Okay.
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the large-scale development, request here. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried. All right, if we don't have any other business, I guess we are adjourned.